The journey from 1000 to 5000, I have seen them struggling with distribution, struggling with supply chain, struggling with margins, struggling with L&D. So these are the players at that life stage, right? They have different challenges.
Yeah.
Afterwards, the challenges are different.
How do you see adoption for AI happening? Because the legacy tools, if I can say, in this AI world, these legacy tools, the adoption for these legacy tools itself was not there. So is it more of a people challenge?
If we are developing a tool and somebody is not using it, I think we need to own up that we miss something. AI or a bot can reach out to that tail retailers, maybe through a automated voice call or maybe through a WhatsApp. So that is where the AI and the technology can actually help to recover those lost orders.
Don't you feel that, all this technology coming in, eventually it's all going to go down to that last leg, which is your sales rep?
Out of 1000 users, 800 users used my tool.
Use my tool.
That means I have a 80% acceptance. So what exactly you are trying to drive is stock norm adherence. Why I am asking you to use a DMS? Because I want you to adhere to my stock norms. If I start flashing a report to the management saying how many distributors are adhering to the stock norms, how many are not, that is a better KPI than how many using a DMS and how many not.
Hi, and it's a pleasure to have you, Mayuresh, with us. We have heard a lot and we have interacted a lot in past. First, before we even start discussing about why we are here, I would love to understand from you largely about your journey and getting to know Mayuresh more. Who Mayuresh is, and what's his passion, and about a little about your career, about your professional journey. And yeah.
Thanks, Sumit, for having me on your show. But yeah, I think my journey in the industry in last 20 years is been through various domains. I have worked, when it comes to the industry verticals, I have worked in marketing companies, HRMS companies, IT company, then utilities, agri commodities, FMCG.
Okay.
Right, so and aviation, sorry, I
Oh,
missed
wow.
that. So I have kind of worked in various business verticals, but largely everywhere into the IT domain. The whole reason is I like to solve business problems using technology.
Okay.
That's what my passion is. And that's the reason why I never saw a industry as a challenge, and kind of worked in all different industries,
Okay.
solving different issues that they face. But yeah, the CPG is the latest one which I have been working with, and there also I have worked in various avatars.
Okay.
The first avatar is largely taking care of the infrastructure, then cyber security, then data, and then the GTM transformation. So I think when you ask me, out of all these various industries and various roles that I have played, which one I like more, I think the most liked role would be the GTM transformation role,
Okay.
because that's where you actually see technology adding tangible value
Yeah.
to the business, and I think I just started loving it.
Okay.
So that's how the journey has been in the professional life.
Okay. So see, I also come from a similar background, and I started my career as a consultant, and I was consulting, CPG companies. I then consulted auto companies, and then eventually I realized CPG is the place where I would want to be, and that's where I started my stint again in CPG. And technology, again, as you mentioned, it it fascinated me it always fascinated me. And then the problems in GTM were such that they were very, very solvable, and technology was a great enabler. So I think that's where we share a similar kind of a professional experience. So what do you think, Mayuresh, in CPG that you have worked, the kind of challenges that you see the industry is facing, right? And how do you see technology, kind of, solving for those challenges? And we all are hearing this buzz around AI, right? While there is a lot of noise around, people losing jobs over AI, right? So how do you see AI transforming the entire CPG industry? So largely,
Yeah.
I've kind of framed a bigger question, but two things: technology, how is it impacting CPG, changing the landscape, and how is AI going to change the CPG?
Right. So, see, when you say CPG, uh, first of all, I don't think CPG as an industry has any technological problems. Okay, because this industry is largely can run even without technology. Can it thrive? It may not be able to, because every organization under CPG is different. Their uh, the phase of career or life that they are in is different. I have seen many CPG companies who are growing, maybe crossed like 1,000 crores now, right? The journey from 1,000 to 5,000, I have seen them struggling with distribution, struggling with supply chain, struggling with margins, struggling with L&D, the liquidation and damages, right? So these are the players at that life stage, right? They have different challenges.
Yeah.
Afterwards, the challenges are different. The afterward challenges are uh, what got the large companies there will not take them to the next level, right? Because
Yeah.
now they have become a mammoth, and now it is very difficult for them to change, very difficult for them to introduce new processes,
Yeah.
right? So that's where they are actually struggling, right? So let me talk about the first phase of companies, and then we can talk about the second phase of companies who
Yeah.
have already
Yeah. Let's do
done,
that.
they have reached certain level, right?
Yeah.
uh, the early companies who are probably from 100 to 2,000, 5,000 kind of a bracket, uh, revenue wise, right? So that bracket, people struggle to, first of all, the first question comes to their mind is, shall I manufacture or shall I outsource my manufacturing?
Yeah.
Right? That's how they start, because they are the marketing companies,
Yeah.
right? They are
Yeah.
not the manufacturing companies.
Yeah.
So they will first will struggle that how much should I manufacture? Should I manufacture, or should I just continue white labeling things?
Yeah.
So is there a way to analyze a data and tell that organization that by when it will make sense for you to manufacture? Maybe
Okay.
that's an opportunity,
Yeah.
right? Then secondly, lot of these early companies, they will spend a lot of money under social media marketing, because they want to create brand awareness.
Yeah.
The large companies who have already reached maybe 10,000 crore and onwards, right, or 5,000 crore and onwards, they already go to the traditional routes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They will have micro marketing in small villages. They will
Yeah.
do newspaper
Yeah.
ads.
Yeah.
They will do TV ads,
Influencer
OTT
marketing. Yeah.
ads,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They are problems are different, but over here they are largely doing Insta, Google, because they are still creating brand. They are
Yeah.
still creating, let's say, a product awareness, right? If they have any niche product, right? So for them, how can they create fast content? How can they check whether my performance marketing is working or not? Right? These are the two areas where the AI can actually help them a
Okay.
lot,
Okay.
right? Because uh, the performance marketing is not cheap,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very
It's
expensive.
expensive. Yeah.
So should I? How much should I do? How much is too much? So if AI can help them to take those decisions, right? I think that will be a good sweet spot for them in that marketing area.
All right.
Then when it comes to the, let's say, supply chain, again, as I said, shall I manufacture for my own, or shall I take it from the third party manufacturing? How much should I take from the third party versus how much should I manufacture? Which SKUs to manufacture in how much of quantity, because the working capital getting blocked,
Yeah.
right? So that decision making, where AI can also help in the supply chain or the
Yeah.
operation
Yeah.
side
Yeah.
of the side, right? Then when it comes to the sales side of it, or sales and distribution, I would say the secondary part of it, right? Or primary primary sales and secondary distribution kind of it. That is where I think they will struggle. The first few hundred or first few 100,000 for few thousand companies, right? They will struggle because they started with D2C.
Hmm.
From D2C, they want to go to modern trade and e-com
Yeah.
and QCom, right? But once they move to that level, then most of them start realizing that I am actually losing
Ultimately.
the gross margins,
Yeah. Okay. Hmm.
right? Because they take a lot of margins
Hmm.
and I'm not able to generate volume.
Yeah.
The volume will be taken largely in the GT.
GT side of things. Yeah.
But GT, they will struggle in the supply chain part,
Hmm.
right? But every this new age organization will have an aspiration to go to GT, which is a
GT.
general
Yeah.
trade business. Now, when they want to do that, and that is where the tools like Salesforce Automation or the distributor management systems, all those things are needed because that is where you need a lot of muscle. You need feet on street, right? The tech is not going to help you to sell to a retailer.
Retailer. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The retailer will have to be sent by a person has to go to a retailer. The person has to convince retailer to buy your product.
Works
So
on a relationship.
it works on relationship a lot, right?
Yeah.
So AI cannot really replace a human out there, right? But AI can help human. So some of the use cases, like for an example, I have seen in many companies, um, a distributor attrition itself is very high. So somewhere close to, I think, largely between 10 to 15%, or sometimes more than that, is the distributor attrition.
Okay.
So how AI can give me early signals that this distributor's health is not well because of XYZ parameters,
Reasons.
and
If I work on those and then
yeah,
I'm able
please
to
work on
retain.
those, or intervene,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Otherwise this distributor may attrite, right? So that is where the AI can help in that way. Second, when it comes to the um, field force, I have seen the field force generally around between 15 to 20% of the field force is either absent or the position is
Is
vacant,
vacant. Yeah.
right? And this is all
This is
across
across. Yeah. Yeah.
India,
Standard. Is
right?
very
All
standard.
companies. So that also means that for 15 to 20% of the business, you are actually losing every day as a loss order. Now, obviously, company realize this and they will always try to recover at least 10% of that business by somebody calling that retailer manually, getting the order and whatnot. But the tail is still unattended,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? So at least in that use case, how can a technology or a AI or a bot can reach out to that tail retailers?
Tail end retailers to kind
Yeah,
of.
maybe through a automated voice call or maybe
Yeah.
through a WhatsApp, right? So that is where the AI and the technology can actually help to recover those loss orders.
Okay. No, Mayuresh, I have this. I have a point here. So, in my past experience also, and I've seen this firsthand. Companies deploy these tools, right? Left, right, center. They will have amazing dashboards. They will have, amazing, chatbots to query their, problems and get answers for it. But then eventually, everything boils down to an Excel sheet, right? Everything boils down to people talking to people. And as a result, I've personally seen tools that I have deployed with my hands, being used probably once a month, or 2 times in 6 months, right? So how do you see uh, adoption for AI happening, right?
Yeah.
Because the legacy tools, if I can say, in this AI world, these legacy tools, the adoption for these legacy tools itself was not there,
Yeah.
right? So, is it more of a people challenge that people are not wanting to use the tools, so that they continue to be the forebearer or the flag bearer of the news, and not relying on the tools? Or is it something that people just they just don't want to use it, and they just they are in love with Excels, right?
Yeah.
Data,
Yeah.
getting that data manually, adding their sort of inputs, constraints, right, and to come up with those
Yeah.
graphs and slides. So what's your take on that?
Okay, so two things. on this question. First one is, when we as a technology folks, if we are developing a tool uh, and somebody is not using it, I think we need to own up that we miss something.
Okay.
And that is what my experience says. Whenever we try and develop a tool, not including the user in the development cycle, they don't use the tool. So that is a watch out for all of us.
Okay.
We need to, we just keep on saying design thinking, right? But we don't practice it.
Yeah.
Right? But what I have seen is, when we actually include those business people as a part of my, let's say, a first workshop when I'm creating requirements, right? And we keep them engaged throughout the journey up to the UAT and the delivery. I have seen the great acceptance and the adoption to any technology that we deploy.
Okay.
So that is the one part of it, where how much we involve our end user. That is one. Secondly, when it comes to, we are also aspirational, right? We will also create some tools, and we would want somebody to use them. But what I have seen is, if any tool that we have created, and if people are not using it, we need to ask ourselves a question: is there a real problem of that user my tool able to solve?
Okay. Yeah.
If that happens, why would a sane individual would not use it? Right? So again, it will boil down to the same thing. Then we need to start asking them questions. What is the real problem that you have? Let me help you solve with this tool.
But isn't it a chicken and egg situation, Mayuresh? See, I'll give you an example. So, for example, you deploy something, right? It will take around a month or two. New requirements will come in, right? They'll say, till the time you deliver this, I'm not going to use the tool. And then by the time you consider that request, another request would have come in, right? So maintain that agility while you are not compromising on the adoption.
Yeah.
So any thoughts from your
No,
experience?
absolutely. So this is I would say it is a problem of a clarity. If somebody is coming to you saying, I have these 10 requirements, and when you are delivering those 10 requirements, somebody is coming back to you and saying, no, I have 5 requirements more. Until you deploy those 5, I will not be able to use 10. Right? So I think it's a lack of clarity. If that was the case, why your requirements weren't 15 earlier, right?
Yeah.
So we as a tech professionals probably need to empathize with the business person in such situation. We need to understand that yes, that person is coming because of some pressure or some changing priorities in his or her domain. But we need to ask those questions to those people. What changed? Why are those 10 things that you gave me are no more your priorities?
Yeah.
Right? And if you are convinced, then you should not feel bad about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you are not, then you should ask, then if we add this 5, how likely that you will be start using it? Because I need to start measuring its business value.
Business benefit. Yeah.
It is not only you, it is me also, right? It's a tech and business, both are working for an organization.
Yes.
So if you don't use it, the organization is losing. It's not me who is losing, right?
Yeah.
My work is done. My job was to deliver. So if we talk about this openly and honestly with the business person, I'm 100% sure that person also is a rational person, right?
Yeah.
He or she will realize.
Okay. So now I'll take a step back and I'll say, okay, now these are folks probably who are sitting out of a corporate office, and I want to go a little down in the chain, and the last 3 feet, essentially where you are servicing your retailers, your sales staff, right, who are probably earning 20, 25,000, 30,000, again depending on the kind of firms that are there. They are standing in heat. They are visiting retail shops. Don't you think having too much of technology for them, currently they are probably using SFAs and other tools and technologies at their behest to kind of see what they have to sell, how they have to sell, right? Don't you feel that with all this AI coming in, all this technology coming in, eventually it's all going to go down to that last leg, which is your sales rep, who is probably probably earning 25, 30,000,
or
and
maybe
are we not
least educated.
exactly? And are we not expecting too much from him then, right? So what's your take on this?
No, so I think it's a fair point, and but the way in which I look at it is the lowest person are you that person that you are calling as a lowest in the chain, right? That person today uses Instagram, uses WhatsApp,
Yeah.
uses delivery apps, right? So technology that we create should be actually should be as simple as they can use it like a WhatsApp or any other app that they use every day.
Okay.
We make it overcomplicated by giving too many requirements. Like for an example, I'll tell you. Um, now everyone is working on suggested order, right? So everyone wants to suggest a AI generated order to the
Yeah.
person who is selling,
Sell these 4 more brands, 4 more SKUs.
right? Everyone
Yeah,
is doing that
yeah,
in the
everyone,
industry,
yeah.
right? But what we realized is if you are running too many agendas for that one feet on street, that person won't be able to do it. So what I started thinking, and what we started kind of imagining is, as a corporate, we might want to run 20 agendas. But when for a particular retailer, a particular seller goes, that person should not have more than 2 agendas.
Okay.
That is where your AI should be able to algorithmize it so that the too many agendas are there with HO. But for that particular retailer,
only
that
two
particular
things.
day, there are only 2 things.
2 or 3 things that he has to do.
Absolutely.
And if he's able to do it, then he is able to then combine, put together
Put
all these
together,
sales
you
reps
will-
are able to achieve
Absolutely.
the end organization.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair understanding. Okay, now we talked about the sales reps, the feet on the ground, right? Now I would want to kind of ask the tough question in the sense, what do you think? Do you feel the leadership in these organizations, are they leveraging the tools and technologies regularly, and how it is supposed to be used? The reason I ask this is because ultimately, let's say the CEO or the CMO or the CXO offices, they would have people under them, right?
Yeah.
Why would they choose to use a tool, and why would they not trust the people that are kind of reporting to them, right? So what's your take on that? What do you think would be the ideal, so to say, an adoption level for a leader, for a CXO, right? And what do you feel are the leaders actually using the tools that we are building for, let's say the leader -1 folks in the organization, and are the leaders the one leading from the front end using these tools?
Uh, See, largely what I've seen is the leaders don't care about the tools, and they should not. Okay, they should care about the KPIs, which the tool helping to drive,
Okay.
right? And if we as a technology people can actually identify that, and when we go to the leaders, we talk about by using this tool, we improve this KPI by X%. They are just worried about that X%. They don't care about the tool, right? So I think we need to start measuring the success in a different way. I think what traditionally our success criteria is what, out of 1,000 users, 800 users used my tool.
Use my tool.
That means I have a 80% acceptance.
Acceptance rate. Output, what came out of it, we are not tracking, but then
Absolutely.
they are using it. Well
So
and
I
good.
think usage is not very wrong KPI to measure. Rather, what we should say is, let's say we keep on talking about, let's say DMS acceptance is not there in distributors, right? And I think just before this conversation, you were telling me that if you're not using DMS, it's okay. I will run the automatic cycle,
Yeah.
and it will show this is your closing stock, and you have to
Yeah.
accept it.
Yeah, accept
right?
it, yeah.
So what exactly you are trying to drive is stock norm adherence.
Yeah.
Why I am asking you to use a DMS? Because I want you to adhere to my stock norms. If I start flashing a report to the management saying how many distributors are adhering to the stock norms, how many are not, that is a better KPI than how many using a DMS and how
Using
many
it,
not.
yeah, because that's the eventual outcome of any system.
Yeah.
All right. But then, Mayuresh, on a lighter note, when and you would have also faced this. I have faced it personally. When the numbers are not happening, right? And I'm being very, very honest with you. Numbers are not happening. Then eventually the first blame always comes. My systems are not working. My systems are not helping me, right? So what would your answer would be in these typical situations?
So interestingly, again, I see. Honestly, I don't like to externalize things. I would rather say that again, it is our problem, our technology people's problem. Uh, when we decide our goal sheets, do we take the sales people KPI into our goal sheets, or just we say 90% adherence to the timeline is my KPI?
Probably, yeah, probably not. Yeah, yeah, you're
Right?
right. Yeah.
So maybe we need to change that, right? If we feel that, let's say, total lines sold in a market should increase, and if that is the technology person's KPI, then I will ensure that the adoption
That
happens.
happens.
I will ensure that people will go to any level to deliver everything, right? So
Right.
we need to change the matrices for ourselves. I'm 100% sure these kind of problems will happen. But when you have your skin in the game, nobody will blame you. If you don't have a skin in the game, you will be blamed.
So I understand that you're trying to say that you have to behave like a partner.
Yeah.
And as a partner, you have to have those shared responsibilities and
Yeah.
shared goals.
Yeah.
Wherein numbers are not only a salesperson's job, it's also largely a tech partner's
job.
exactly. Because ultimately in CPG, you're not in business of building technology, right?
Absolutely.
You are in business of building stuff and selling it to consumers. Perfect. And Mayuresh, I know we are running out of time also. Just some closing remarks, largely around how do you see this industry evolving? CPG, all this AI coming in, and talking probably 10 years, 20 years down the line. What do you think? How will this industry look like?
So CPG is, I think, ever evolving industry. First of all, when consumers started consuming packaged goods, right? Or the goods which were earlier sold unpackaged, they started packaging it in a certain way and started selling it. Yeah, but if you see, there are still many unpackaged things which are out there.
Yeah.
So the industry will continue to package more and more things.
More and more. Okay.
Earlier, they were getting packaged in large sizes. Then they started getting into smaller sizes. Now for the modern trade, they again started getting packed into large sizes.
Bigger sizes, yeah.
Right? So I think this is how will continue to happen. Right? Nothing will change in that. Only the new SKUs will keep on
Consumption
coming.
will keep on growing up.
Consumption will, in my mind, consumption may not keep on going up. And maybe it is contrary to what people would say otherwise. But my personal opinion is consumption should not drive your business. The value that you bring to the table should drive your business.
Okay.
Because at the end, this is a very Western concept of consumption-based economy.
Consumerism,
right?
yeah.
More consume, more growth to the economy, right? But we need to realize that the natural resources are finite in this world. They are not going to grow.
Yeah.
Right? Whatever you are consuming, they are all natural resources in some form or other. So consumption should not go much. And if you see the trend-wise also, I think that is happening.
Yeah.
The consumption is not going very, in a rapid pace.
It's not,
it used to be
it is
earlier,
not drastically going up.
right? But what matters is how much of value your product is creating for the consumer. That will drive your SKU, that will drive your product, right? Are you solving the real problem of a consumer? Or are you making that consumer's life easy? Right? Maybe using a packaging innovation or maybe using special ingredients. Are you solving some problem for that particular consumer? Right? Or are you checking the changing taste of a consumer and introducing some components or some additives which are kind of liked by the new generation of consumers?
Innovation. Yeah.
Right? So I think those are the things which will drive the growth in the business, not just the consumption, because number of people are actually going to decline if you see the birth rates and mortality rates, right? So largely the consumption is not going to go very high.
infinitely go up, but
Yeah.
eventually it's going to be the value play that
Yeah.
will continue to be there with the CPG firms.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, Mayuresh, it was really, really nice to have you. We'll continue to have more such sessions with you. And, it's always lovely hosting you. And yeah, and look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks. Thanks for
Thank you.
having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.